Board of Commissioners, June 12, 2024, 9 o'clock meeting. Actually, at this time, to silence your phones and all electronic devices, and we'll stand for the invocation and pledge to the flag. Thank you, sir.
Bow your heads, please. Father, we come to you today around this table to help guide and make decisions for our local community. We ask that you bless these decisions, bless these participants, and guide us in the way you would like for us to go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing we got here on the agenda here is to adopt the agenda. There's been a couple of changes. We're going to add number 14 under new business is discussion of the Lake Meriwether host caretaker. And the only change on number 7 for the UGA extension is just a contract renewal. MOU wasn't in there, so I wrote it in there, or was asked to. Is there any other changes that need to be done to the agenda? You'll have someone make a motion to accept the agenda.
So move.
You have a motion second?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor? Thank you. All right, so we'll go right on into presentations. FY23 audit report, Malden and Jenkins.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Will Dervis from Malden Jenkins here to give us the audit report. It's finally finished. I got it late yesterday afternoon, so I'll be forwarding it to the board. And we'll get the books and binded, everything together, and M&J will send them to us, and we'll distribute them out.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Morning, Commissioners. So as John mentioned, my name is Will Derzis. I'm a director with Malden and Jenkins, and I've been a part of Meriwether County audits since we began working on it several years ago. Like John mentioned, we just got our reports issued fresh out the door yesterday or the day before, and I'm going to base my presentation off of our auditor discussion and analysis. You'll receive copies of those later on today or this week. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. So just a couple quick things. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a director with our firm. Been with Malden Jenkins for 8 years. We offer a variety of different services and industries as a fully staffed CPA firm. A few things I need to touch on regarding our audit report. Financial statements are the ultimate responsibility of management of the county. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on those statements. We conduct those statements in accordance with standards applicable and accepted within the United States, as well as government auditing standards specific to local governments. Pleased to announce we've issued an unmodified report, which is considered a clean opinion, meaning that the statements are considered to present fairly the financial position and results of the audit for the of the county for the year ended 2023. I'll touch on just a couple of the quick highlights of the county's financial statements. Total assets of the county are approximately 42 million or so, offset by liabilities of about 7.5 million, resulting in a net position or equity you can think of as about 34 million. About 15 of that is considered invested within the county's capital assets, not available for use. A portion is considered restricted and thus has to be spent on in certain purposes or imposed by restrictions from external parties. Unrestricted net position is approximately 15 million, and that's considered available for use. I'll touch on the state of the general fund, which is county's primary operating fund. As you expect, taxes are the primary revenues collected by the general fund, approximately 75% or so, followed by charges for services. And for expenditures, public safety, general government, and public works, those represent the top three expenditures within the general fund. And about 81% of the county's general fund balance, its equity position, is considered unassigned and available for use or for spending. Total fund balance at the end of September 30 is approximately $11.5 million. County also maintains 9 special revenue funds, a blended component unit, a proprietary component unit in the form of the Airport Authority. The Industrial Development Authority is a governmental blended component unit, as well as 5 custodial funds for the tax commissioner, sheriff, clerk of court, probate, and magistrate court. As far as compliance reports, there's just one that's applicable to the county this year. That's called the Yellow Book Report, which is the required report under government auditing standards. It's a report on our tests of the county's internal controls and compliance with certain laws, regulations, et cetera. There was no single audit conducted this year due to the county not expending more than $750,000 of federal expenditures, and thus there's no uniform guidance, opinion, or report. A couple other required communications I have to disclose to you if you hang in there with me. Our audit was conducted in accordance with standards accepted within the United States of America and government auditing standards, like I mentioned earlier. Our procedures are designed to obtain reasonable rather than absolute assurance about the financial statements, and we believe we accomplished that objective. We encountered no significant difficulties or any difficulties with management, no disagreements. We requested certain representations from management at the end of the audit, and they provided those written representations to us with no issue. During the year, there were adjusting journal entries posted to the county's accounts. We had no past adjustments, and we, as a firm, are independent of the county and all related organizations, which is a requirement and kind of the cornerstone of an audit process. We do cite, there are 2 findings to be reported, or that are reported within the county's financial statements this year. One related to segregation of duties for limited staffing and resources across different departments, including the Water Authority, Industrial Development Authority, and some other offices and areas that are outside of central finance. We also have a finding just on some of the closeout journal entries and procedures that were required for us to kind of get the books all squared away and in good shape. We also have some recommendations, management points that we've reported. These are not to the level of a finding. They're considered points of emphasis, recommendations for improvement. Several items stuck out during our walkthrough in which we're taking note of the county's internal control policies and procedures. So we recommend that the county management adapt some defined processes regarding its financial reporting. There were a couple different instances when we tested SPLOS to T-SPLOS general disbursements in the county that we could not necessarily verify approval on all those expenditures, as well as the Airport Authority. We noted an area at the probate court in which cash collections are not always deposited super timely, and that creates a little bit of excessive cash being held at different times. So we have a point about that, as well as that it's required by state law to adopt any special revenue budget, or any special revenue requires a budget adopted. We noted that no budget was adopted for the Sheriff Drug Forfeiture Fund, and that is, activity is very small, it's very limited, so it's not considered a compliance issue or anything like that, but just a recommendation. And then lastly, we have a point about regarding our testing of cash and the reporting of the tax commissioner. We make the recommendation that they need to more timely perform their bank reconciliations, do so on a monthly basis, and do so accurately, which will help prevent some of the back and forth and some of the year-end accumulated issues that we had to work through. All right, and lastly, I won't go into all the new upcoming GASBs and new pronouncements that affect our future audits. But I'll just mention that they, our audit and accounting standard setting board, the GASB, they keep us very busy and always seem to be issuing new pronouncements that are effective. We had some that were effective within the past several years, but I don't believe any of those actually applied or were applicable to the county's reporting. But I won't go into all the details on future pronouncements. And then otherwise, I'll just, last thing I'll mention is M&J, we offer free quarterly continuing education and newsletters for our clients, for anyone who wants to enroll, become a part of that. That's, like I said, offered for free and for, there's quarterly opportunities for if you need continuing education, that type of thing. Just let me know if you're interested in that, and I can get you signed up. But that's all I have for you today. So I appreciate all the assistance of John, Jared, and the finance team, and I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions or concerns from the board members?
You said we'll have this report.
Yes, I have them, and I'll forward them as soon as this meeting's over. I'll forward them out to the board.
There's a couple points there I'd like to read more detail. I don't want to
Yes, sir.
drag it out in here if we get in the report, but there's a couple concerning.
I got it yesterday, and I was reviewing everything, and then before I sent it out to the board, to make sure I understood everything, in case you had questions, I could answer them.
So we'll have it before our next meeting.
You'll have it this
in time
afternoon.
To add it on the agenda for that meeting, a follow-up to the findings and recommendations, what our course of action is going to be to remedy those.
Yes, there's a recommended, Vaughn & Jenkins gave their findings, and then we concurred with their findings, and we stated how we would proceed in fixing those, and that's all in that report that we'll just read out.
I just want to make sure the board's involved in that before it's sent to them, that we understand what those corrective actions are for the findings and the recommendations.
It's already sent to them, right?
Yeah, it's already been said. The corrected actions would
Right.
just be our policy going forward, what we need to implement in place, and that will come from internally from management.
Right.
These are the steps that we're working on to address. In the
It's
past,
nothing we need to vote on. It comes from,
I understand that, but
Yeah,
I'd like to
strengthen our
have knowledge
controls.
of it and be able to read it and understand it. At
Yeah,
some
I-
point, I'm liable also for what goes on there, so I want to know what the corrective action is to the findings.
Yeah, I can send you what we send the auditors for our action plan, and then how we're going to strengthen them. Because my statement was in there, we've identified them, work on strengthening the controls that we can implement in place and close out. A lot of the stuff was just not backup documentation from journal entries. I've implemented, the POs. And a lot of things that weren't done has been implemented now. And Will can tell you from finding some of the stuff from the old to the new that he was looking at, it has changed since I've taken over.
Yeah, we don't have, if you look back to the past several years' reports, there's been no change in the number of findings. Actually, kind of the volume have decreased over time. And so a lot of that's due to John's efforts. And usually that first year, in my experience, taking over from, things were done a little differently, we want to make some changes. You don't necessarily see all those results manifest until maybe that second year, that third year. But yeah, there's been nothing new that hasn't been reported in prior years. And in fact, like I said, some of the volume or some of the dollar amounts, the frequency of the misstatements have reduced over time.
So some of those findings also are related to the size of the office, the segregation.
That's correct.
And it's very difficult for a small office to fulfill that.
That's correct.
I'd say the same thing. I've seen lots of smaller, rural governments have that separation of duties issue. We went through that where I worked before. At one point, there was one person handling it, and there was only one person to handle it. But John's well capable of handling it. But I'll get with John too. Anything we can do to support that as far as assigning people to the best of our ability. We'll certainly do whatever we can.
So to be clear, wasn't questioning John's integrity or ability to do the job. I just like to be clear transparency of what we're doing, what we're telling them we're doing, and what the result is for the county. That's all I'm asking for.
Yes, sir, Commissioner. And I spoke with Will about it, and if we put those controls in place, he can start knocking them off his list that, yes, those controls are in place and those financial end closeout procedures are actually being done properly, and they've been kind of ticked off as we go along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other presentation, we'll go right into the finance report. Mr. John.
Commissioners, in front of you have the bank balances as of around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. All the balances are holding pretty steady. The investment pool, I had to move $1 million back to the general fund just because of the ledger showing the general fund was getting low on cash supplies. You know, as the mail's running, we have numerous checks that are outstanding. So the balance, bank balance is higher than what's the ledger just because those checks are floating around. I did open up the Georgia Fund 1 account and did do initial deposit for the general fund special projects. 2.5 million should settle today. And then the other $1 million removed for that one, we can start gaining interest off that one. Out of that $1 million I did move, we did gain about $10,000 interest, and then I just put it right back in the general fund for operating purposes. But everything else is holding good. You see our SPLOS, T-SPLOS, loss, they're all staying relatively within the average. Your second page on your commitments, you can see our SPLOS, everything that's been committed out. Right now, as of yesterday, we're at a deficit of 1.3 million on SPLOS on commitments. With cash, we will get monthly allocations that help reduce that. T-SPLOS, we have 1.1 available to spend as of yesterday. So overall financially, we're in a good position. And just like Will told you, our fund balance is currently around $14 million that we have in reserves.
And where are we at? I've been inquiring now for about 18 months to have an audit with the landfill.
I was waiting for this audit to finish up, and I plan on having that. I got that written down on my calendar to get with the landfill and do an internal audit with them, because I believe that's in our contract that we can audit.
Yeah, it's in the contract, and that's the first thing I was asking or inquiring about when I came on board January last year, so I was just wondering when we're going to.
I do have it on my schedule to do
You
it.
weren't here then, I'm
Yeah.
just reading.
I have it on my schedule to get it done. I wanted this audit to be done
Yes,
and
sir.
finished and loaded up the DOA and finish out the complete audit process, and then I'll turn my attention to auditing the landfill.
That sounds great. Any other questions from the board, Sir John?
John, what can we use those funds in the opioid fund line for?
The opioid, they sent out DCA has sent out a general guidelines, and I can forward that to the board as well. It's very limited on what we can use it for. You can use it for inmate care as long as it's opioid related. Training. It's very strict on what you can use the funds for. So we got to look at that one, and I think it's 58 in there. We got about another 50 plus whatever the auditors found the previous year. So I'm estimating about 125, 150 that we have. And I got to get with the rule and try to figure out how we can best suit that. But training is probably going to be our best situation for that, for Danny with EMS.
That's what I was gonna say. Whatever's specified in there is for use. We probably need to utilize it that way to take it out of using in general fund.
Yes.
And that way it helps us out on that end.
And as you know, those rules change periodically. And
Right.
I brought the agenda item for AEDs, and I even asked that question, could we buy AEDs with the opioid money? And they told us, no, not right now. But as we know, those rules could change. If
Right.
people mention it, they may look at it and say, yes, you can, later on down the road.
All right, thank you.
Well, no other question. We'll go right into department heads. Do we have any department heads here today who want to speak?
Well, I have a few reports. Ms. Valerie, do you want to give one for your department?
I was going to give the hiring and
Okay, sure, go ahead.
statistics like I've been asked to do. Good morning, everybody. This is the time period between May 8th and June the 10th. For E911, we still have 6 openings. We did hire 2 communication officers, and we lost 1 part-time communication officer, and we received 22 resumes and applications. For Fire and Rescue Public Safety Department, still have 14 openings there. We hired 1 recruit firefighter EMT, and we lost 1 recruit firefighter EMT, and we lost 1 part-time firefighter EMT, and we received a total of 19 resumes and applications. For Public Works, no hiring activity during this past month. We did receive 20 resumes and applications.
You didn't mention open, so we're fully staffed, Public Works?
Oh, I'm sorry, openings, 5 openings, I'm sorry. Still showing 5 openings, but no hiring or terminations during the the past time period.
Okay.
And 20 applications?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Commissioners, we did have a public works clerk that was recently hired, but it may be outside of this reporting period.
Yes, we have hired another admin assistant for Public Works. That person is not going to start until the 17th of June, so that's why I didn't include her in these numbers. Thank you.
Any other department heads?
Okay, just to add to Ms. Valerie's as well, we're having our open enrollment now from June 10th to June 16th. We'll have on-site guests from NFP, AFLAC, and Empower on, let's see, they're coming on June 11th, which has already passed, but also on June 13th between 8 and 4:30 in the Commissioners' Chambers. Employees are encouraged to stop by for assistance with enrolling or making changes to their group benefits, retirement plan, any questions they might have. And there's also drawings for prizes. The Building and Zoning Department issued 44 permits in May and 14 currently for June. Ms. Cassandra also met with Bryn about addressing, so they're getting together on that. For elections, just a reminder that they have early voting this week for runoff elections for Republican 3rd Congress District on, well actually, yes, Tuesday, June 18th. The Recreation Department, the All-Star Tournament report for the past weekend. The AE boys played in Heard County, winning 12-3, beating Bowden. And the Tenny boys then played in Bowden, winning 8-1, beating Temple. June 8th, the AE boys played again in Heard County for the district championship and won 11-2, beating Bowden. So they're district champions. The Tenny boys played in Bowden, the first game winning 7-3 against Carroll, and the second game winning 8-7, beating Temple. So the Tenny boys are also district champions. The GRPA state tournament will be held in Bowden for the 8U and 10U boys starting June 25th and going through the 29th. The 12U girls all-stars will be playing next week. The time hasn't been set yet. So looking forward to seeing everyone in Bowden. And sign up for football has started for ages 4 to 12. So anybody interested in that, certainly glad to have you participate. For the fire department, they're getting a new ambulance in service and ready for state inspection. Completed the Firefighter 1 class with the written and practical skill testing. Firefighter 1, of course, being one of the ranks as you elevate through your education and certification. They started training all public safety personnel on the driving simulator from ACCG and completed most of the sheriff's office working through the fire and are currently working through the fire and EMS. Completed a safety plan for the Lake Meriwether fireworks event. That's something Danny did personally. Danny also attended Peaches in the Pines event at Lake Meriwether and reviewed and signed off on fireworks event at Tower House Brewery on July 5th. The tax assessor, they're dealing with appeals now, so we know they have a lot going on with that. IT installed a new sound system in the boardroom, has also updated servers and computers, and of course continues to do the normal fixes for the things that break around here. And also, I'm not going to go through it because it's so long, but you know, the road department, of course, provides a report of all the things they've worked on, and you know, it's evident they're very busy and do a lot for us, so we appreciate that. Do you have anything?
Any
Yes,
other
sir.
department heads?
Yes, sir. Recreation is also going to be working on senior services. We have a couple of things set up with Three Rivers and Public Health. We're going to be having a meeting later on this week on that. For elections, we also sorted out the Cove precinct, taking care of that precinct's needs. Public code enforcement, we have been having a lot of issues, continue to have a lot of issues with the timbering companies. We continue to point out the rules, enforce the rules and reinforce the rules. That is still an issue within Public Works with their about 250 calls that they had last month. Other items, and that's it for right now.
Anybody else? All right, we have anybody in citizen comments?
No, sir.
I do have a question. Back to Jared and the peaches and the pines. Do we know what was taken in?
I don't have the money amounts. I know the number of people that showed up and the number of vendors, which I had in my
Okay.
county administrator report.
900 attendees and about 70 to 75 vendors. Most vendors they've ever had.
All right. I'd be curious as to that profit when we get them.
Okay, sure, I can find that out.
All right. Next on the agenda there, we have time to review the minutes. Has anybody got any questions, concerns about the minutes? If not, do we have someone make a motion to adopt the minutes from the May 28, 2024 regular meeting at 6 o'clock p.m.?
So moved.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
No second, all in favor? Thank you. No public hearings, no appointments. Unfinished business. T-Splosh, update and set call meeting with cities. It's there?
Morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Here today to give you an update on T-Splosh. We have now met with or spoke over the phone with all the cities, and we're looking forward. The next step in this is going to be to set a a meeting for discussion of the intergovernmental agreement between the county and all of the cities. I've tried to poll all the cities about what dates they may be available, and then I would bring it back to you guys. So I've talked to them. We're looking really at one afternoon, probably 6 o'clock during the first 2 weeks of July. I would like to ask the board today to maybe if July the 2nd works for you guys, let's check that and give us that as one option. Then maybe a couple days, maybe the Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week, the 9th, and maybe the 10th. We'll try to get that set up. I got to make sure all the cities can be here too, but I wanted to see what flexibility this board was beforehand. What we'll do is when we come in to meet on the IGA, we'll have the documents, and I'll have everything to you guys into the cities by then. I just need a date to complete them. And we have broken down all of the tabs. We've broken down all the distribution. We have broken down the projects that the cities would like to include. And so it should be, with the work we've already done, a relatively short meeting. But I do need some dates and maybe some flexibility where I could go ahead and give you guys a call, and when we get it and say, hey, let's authorize the chairman to go ahead and call a meeting based on that date. That way I can get it out and get it advertised. We have to advertise it for a certain period of time before we meet with the cities. And then we need to get it all completed. You guys will be asked to complete another resolution. It's one of the reasons I'd like to do it before, I think, the 10th, because I think that's your regular meeting, and we can bring that resolution back on that date, okay? So what I requested today is to check and see if July the 2nd would work for everybody. And then from there, maybe give me, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week.
That's the only one of the three given that works for me. I won't even be in town.
What time
after
on July
that.
2nd? What time?
6 p.m. you said?
6 o'clock, right. So you're good the 2nd?
I am, yeah.
I'm fine with it.
I'm good.
I'm good. Okay, all right. That'd probably be our preferred date. I want to make sure we can meet our advertising deadlines. That's the only thing that might include the 2nd. But I'll work off that, and if that date doesn't work, we'll be back and talking about what we need to do. But I'll do that on the telephone, okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
We'll go right on into new business. First one is discussion and consideration of implementing a policy on meeting decorum.
Yes, sir. That's just a policy for the commissioner's consideration. Just talks about things like keeping cell phones off, how commissioners interact with one another, how the public interacts with commissioners and whatnot. Just something for consideration. And that is in the packet.
It is in the packet.
Yes.
Oh.
One of the things that they had mentioned at the last meeting I did in Savannah and handling the meeting and so forth, several people was talking about that. So I had just reached out and asked, do we even have one? And after speaking with the county attorney, he said, if y'all may have one. It's been adopted by the previous board. I don't know if they remember. If we have one already that's adopted, then we just need to circulate it and know that we already have it. If we don't have one that's adopted, they suggest that each county should have something in place. So if we have something, if y'all research it ahead of time to look for it, if we have something, that's great. If we don't, then it's just a consideration. Does the board want to have a policy in place from here moving forward?
Yeah, we haven't found anything.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we've always just followed the most updated Robert's rules. So if it's updated at any point, that's what the county and most counties follow at that point.
Right. Robert's rules had a little bit in there, but it was
Right.
pretty narrow. I guess.
Well, it is, and that's going to be for any government entity.
Right.
Your current county codes do say you do mention Robert's Rule.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
before.
For the past 12 years, it's always been the most updated version.
Right. I guess what I said is we don't have a full policy. They've kind of mentioned it in Robert's Rules of Order. And, if we want to leave it with that, we can, but just,
So do we just need to say we'll go with the Robert's Rule of Order and?
well, it depends on what y'all want. Superficially, Robert Rules of Order does have something. If y'all want something more robust, this is what ACCG has put out there as guidelines for something to use. So really, it's just board's preference.
So it's just a matter of if the board wants to accept that or have something drawn up or.
And you can make, y'all can change it as well. You don't have to use the AC, it's a model ordinance by
Right.
ACCG, it's like suggesting.
Right.
So can we table this to the next meeting and get an updated copy of Robert's Rules of Order to review and compare versus the one proposed here?
Whatever y'all want to do.
I would recommend, we have to make a motion on that to table this to the next meeting, provided staff gets us an updated version of a Robert's Rule of Order.
I got a motion, do I have a second? Second. Got a second, all in favor? Yeah, we'll just take it up to the next. Sounds good. Number 2, 2024-2025 state agency budget request and allow the chairman to sign the Department of Family and Children's Services.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. This is the time of year where the state agencies come for us for their budget. Their budget runs July 1st to June 30th. So I've reached out and all the state agencies have submitted their budget requests. DFACS is asked for the same amount as previous, $28,000, no increase. Staff recommends the commissioners approve the budget.
Okay. Do I have a motion to do the request and allow the chairman to sign?
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Thank you, commissioners.
Third one, 2024-2025 state agency budget request and allow the chair to sign, district attorney.
Same thing, commissioners, with the DA's office, they asked for no budget increase. They're still at $263,947 for the upcoming fiscal year for their budget. So staff recommends approval of their budget as well.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, commissioners.
Number 4, 2024-2025 state agency budget request and allow the chair to sign, Coweta Circuit Public Defender.
Commissioners,
Good morning.
Ms. Simmons is here to speak on the public defenders. They have asked for an increase of $22,501 over last year's budget, and Ms. Simmons can explain the increase of the budget.
Just as a note, side note on that, and I have a copy of our budget request. Do y'all have this already?
Should be in there, should be in the back.
Oh, okay, I just wasn't sure, so I brought extras. The 22,000, 11,366 of that is an administrative fee, the 5% administrative fee. For the last several years, Meriwether County has been allowed by the state to waive those fees. So actually, the county doesn't pay those. Instead of getting any type of refund from the state, if there was one or not, they've always agreed to just not ask for the 11,366. So it does sound like we're asking for the 22,500 and something, but what we're really asking for is $11,135. And what that goes for is, I'm asking for a pay increase for Ryan Fuller. He is our public defender that is here in Meriwether County. He lives here, his family's here. He has been our public defender in Meriwether County now for 19 years. Last year, you were very kind and gave us a good pay raise for him because he was very far behind on the pay scale. So we had to get him up because understandably, his wife may or may not have been thinking he needed to make more money and could do that somewhere else. We do not want to lose Ryan for this community. If you speak to anybody in the DA's office or at the Sheriff's Department, I think they will let you know that he does exceptional work here. He keeps your caseloads moving here. He makes sure that people in jail are having due process and that they're not languishing and costing the county more. He goes to the jail even at nights and on weekends to accommodate more for the Sheriff's Department and be able to see his clients. So, you know, we really need to keep Ryan here, is what we need to do. So I'm asking for a $5,000 pay raise for him. Where that number comes from is, as you know, we're a state agency in the county's contract, both with the district attorney, DFAX, and us. The $5,000 is because state employees are automatically getting a $3,000 raise if they're over the 4%, which he is. But additionally, PAC and GPDC, which is the Prosecuting Attorneys Council and Georgia Public Defender Council, had been seeking to also have a step increase for the attorneys, and that was actually funded also. So with the step increase and the $3,000, that comes to a $5,000. That's what his state counterparts would be getting. That's what we've asked for each of the counties. The other request is for Mary Ann Behrens, who is our administrative assistant here. Ryan was very thrilled to get her back. She was in Heard County for a while, but she's back here working with Ryan now. She lives in this community also and is very, very valuable in helping Ryan do his job. I'm asking for the $3,000 pay increase that she would get if she were a state employee. So with that, with the add-ons of the benefit cost and taxes, it comes to $11,135. I know it seems strange right now because we're about to split this circuit. And this may, depending on what y'all vote on today with our contract, this may be my last time to appear before this board. That's hard for me because I've been CPD since 2007. Dealt with there and back in Coweta County during those days, and Troup County, but we have two great people that are seeking to be Circuit Public Defender who are both here today. We have Jackie Campbell, we have Rick Samper. Rick, as you know, is our chief assistant and he supervises our Coweta office. Jackie is our senior attorney in our Troup County office. I've been working on training them on what to expect, what documents, everything that we have to do. So we're about to move into a new world, I know. Here's the good thing. Our offices will not change. Your offices will not change. I live in Carroll County. I will be joining the West Georgia Circuit. That's why I said I will not be CPD here. And that is hard for me because I love it down here. Y'all are great people and we love interacting with you. But with that change, it does not change the makeup of our offices. You still have, there will be 4 judges, so we will have 5 positions that are state funded. All 5 of those positions are currently already in place. They're already in this circuit. So there's no disruption there. We have a state paid investigator, which is actually Hugh Howard, who is our investigator here in Meriwether County. He will stay with us. So there's not going to be, you know, people have asked me, well, are we going to see a lot more state money coming in? I would suggest you ask the DA or the judges that, but as far as from our end, ours will not change. And that's why we have to come to the county on other people that are what we call state paid county reimbursed, which means y'all actually contract with us to provide this service. So we do have to depend on the counties, all of the counties, to help us in doing our job. And I believe that anybody would tell you that Ryan and his office is just remarkable and has been for many, many years. I think everybody would tell you that. So I'm just really asking that you would consider giving them the pay raises, that we can keep them in line as other employees, both in the DA's office and ours, are, going to be receiving pay increases. Questions?
Any questions from the board?
Okay.
Would we act on this today?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Staff recommends approval of the increase on the budget.
I'm sorry, what?
Mary Ellen, I was just gonna ask,
Yes.
on behalf of the board, I know in the last few years, the county has not paid that 5% admin fee. That'd be impossible.
That's still in there. That's why it's not the 22,000. I know you're new to some of this, and the way we do the budget request, it does look that way. But that is actually in the contract, that 11,000, what would be 11,366 would be waived by the state.
Yeah, so it, I know the total, I think the overall increase is 22 requests, but could we live with the increases for your assistants?
I'm sorry now.
Could we live, could you guys live if the commissioners supported 11, whatever the raises were? Would that be something you guys could?
That
live
would be perfect. That would be keeping our staff here and happy,
with?
yes.
That would.
That's really-
That would cut the,
Yes, that cuts out the admin
Right.
fee.
So what would be the total amount for
The
increase?
total amount that's in the contract, as I prepared it, is 227,319 is the total ask, and that's excluding, again, that 11,366.
So
it's-
11,300 is what the increase would be.
No,
Yes,
11,135.
11,135.
11,135,
Okay,
yes.
I apologize, Commissioner, I didn't
Yeah.
realize the 5% that we didn't pay out.
11,366 is a 5% admin fee.
Yes.
And that's waived.
Yes, so it'd be the 11,315, and that's just the pay increases with the taxes and benefits and all that.
It's 11,366 is the increase.
Any more discussion? Do I have a motion from the board?
So moved.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
And we'll
I'm gonna
miss,
miss y'all.
we'll miss seeing you next year.
Here's our contracts. and
Okay.
I can promise you with either of these two
Yes.
people, you'd be in great hands. We'll train them well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Number 5, 2024-2025 state agency budget request and allow the chair to sign Department of Public Health.
Commissioners, the Health Department has requested the same budget as last year, $152,500. Staff recommends approval of that budget.
Any need for discussion? Do I have a motion for chair to sign?
So moved.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Thank you.
I abstain because I sit on that board.
Oh, okay. Number 6, 2024-2025 state agency budget request and allow the chair to sign Pine Mountain Regional Library System.
Commissioners, the Three Rivers Library has asked for a $5,000 increase. Their budget was $133, they're asking for $138, and Ms. Kirby is here to speak on that.
Kilby.
Ms. Kirby.
That's all right. I get that a lot. Yes, we are asking for a $5,000 increase this year. Our health insurance is increasing yet again. As I stated in my letter, this year it went up last year. It'll go up this fiscal year. It'll go up in fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. It's a big increase. So I'm asking for that for our employees who are covered by the health insurance. We get it through the state of Georgia. It's the group health insurance through the state of Georgia. And that is what that will go for. And also, I also wanted to inform you all, if you haven't seen the signs around town, if you don't follow us on Facebook, we went fine-free on June 1st. And that is a big deal. Several other library systems in the state of Georgia have done that. And as you all know, we have a lot of folks in this area living at or below the poverty level. This is definitely going to benefit them because they won't have to worry about overdue fines anymore. And my reasoning is you should not have to worry about paying the rent and also having to pay your library fines. Now, with all that being said, if you lose a book, I'm still going to charge you for the book. I'm not going to let you off the hook with that. So you will have to pay us for that. But the overdue fines, we are not going to be charging them anymore. So I think that's a wonderful thing. The folks in Columbus have done that. There's some libraries in South Georgia have done that. Over in True Paris are only charging for adult books. Children's books no longer have overdue fines over there. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. Do you all have any questions for me that I can answer?
You mentioned that the increase for this year, 24, 25, 26, and 27, and that's the reason you're asking for the $5,000 increase, but is that going to cover those next 3
No.
years, or that just
That
coming
covers
up,
this year.
and we're going to be looking at it
Yes.
again and again and again?
Yes, sorry about that, but they went probably 10 or 15 years without increasing the premiums, and then I believe it was last year they announced all at once that they were going to give us just a slew of them.
I'm pretty sure last year you brought us a printout that
I
showed
did.
the increase possibly
I
over
did.
until 2027. Yeah.
I sure did. All right, do you have any questions for me?
So, not a,
Question?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
not a specific question, Ms. Kilby, but to let you know, DOT is working with the county to get the
Yay.
directional signs put up for your library.
That is
We're
wonderful. Thank you so
communicating with
much.
them.
Thank you. We have a public library here in Greenville. It is down the hill from the Board of Education, but there are a lot of folks that aren't aware of the library being there. And so Lou has been kind enough to work with me to try and get some directional signs, you know, the little guy reading a book, those signs around Greenville so folks will be able to find the library. And I think that's wonderful. All right.
Commissioners have any questions for me?
And I will leave schedules for the summer reading program for Manchester and Greenville out here in the lobby for anyone who's interested. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Do I have a motion from anyone on the board?
So moved.
You got a motion?
Second.
And a second, all in favor? Rosa seconded it, and the motion was passed. Oh, you got it. All right, number 7, 2024-2025 state agency budget request, UGA County Extension Agent, contract renewal, and MOU allowing the chair to sign.
Yes, sir, Commissioners. Ms. Harmon is here to speak on that. Her budget, she's asked for a very small $330 increase, and she can contest that.
I hope that's not too much to ask of y'all. But the increase is for our TRS, the Teacher Retirement System. It increased from 19.98% to 20.78%. So that's the $330 increase in our budget. But that's all the increase in our budget. But then I also added the MOU this morning. We haven't had the MOU signed in a couple of years. Nothing changed with it, but we have pretty much a new board, so I wanted new signatures on the MOU for that. And I always say this, I don't typically wear T-shirts, and I met Jared in T-shirts and a tennis skirt, but I do wear this during the summer. We survived camp last week, and we will survive camp the next 3 weeks.
So how many years have you been here now? 6?
August 1st will be 7 years.
7 years? And you've never asked for an increase
I have
for
never
yourself?
asked. I have never asked for an increase, and I think this is one of the only increases we've had. And I'm probably one of the only counties that's never asked for an increase in our budget.
Well, you've never
So
asked.
next year, I'm coming for, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
Wait till next year and do that speech again.
Yeah.
Add your 5%.
I'm gonna bring
over
all my
past 7.
kids with me that I bring to camp to stand behind me.
Well, I think you deserve one.
Thank you.
Is that a motion, sir?
That is, well, I mean, I'm making a motion for the requested of 330 increase, but yes, next year, please bring that because you have
Okay.
done a great job for Meriwether County and you have been very humble and we appreciate that. So you have to look out for yourself as well.
Well, thank you.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second, all in favor? Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Number 8, acceptance of the May 2024 grand jury presentments.
Yes, sir. Those are in your packet. We've talked about those and, of course, consider them as we continue to address the jail. Really just need to accept them and thank the grand jury for performing their duties.
Any questions?
I make a motion to accept the grand jury as presented.
I'll second.
We got a motion, we got a second, all in favor? Thank you. Number 10, 2024-2025 ACCG renewal contribution worksheet, approved and allow chairman to sign.
Chairman, Commissioners, in front of you, I know y'all heard a lot about insurance. We went from personal, now we're dealing with general property liability. That has increased 17% over last year. It's $661,910, and last year it was $547,005. We did, I mean, it was close to $700,000, and we got a 5% discount for having a safety coordinator when I was appointed it a few meetings ago. I'm one class away from completing that class. We got the 5%. We have our quarterly meetings for safety committee, so we did get a 5% discount on that. Staff recommends to go with ACCG for July 1st to June 30th, 2025, and then we will put out an RFP for general liability and auto in the upcoming few months once we get the RFP ready to test the market and see what else is out there. Because premiums have went up from $375,000 3 years ago to $700,000 almost now. I mean, you're looking at double the amount.
All right. Any questions from the commissioners on the board?
And this will be funded from the general fund.
And the total increase is how much?
The increase is, the total amount due is $661,910. It's an increase of 17.4% over last year.
Do I have a motion?
We don't have a choice on this one, do we?
Unfortunately, not with the
really.
insurance lapse on June 30th of 2024.
I make a motion to let's go ahead and approve and allow the chair to sign, and funds coming from general funds. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I don't know of any other way that we get around it.
I have a motion.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Just as a note, we've had actually worked up a RFP for broker services for both health insurance and property liability. I've given the county a copy, and I did it for another county, but we can make small changes. That'd be something you guys could look at next year. So,
And hopefully whatever agencies we find for health and all the other insurances, if we take this and they can somehow combine that in there, there's usually a pretty decent percentage discount for combining everything we have. So maybe we can look for something and write the RFP in that way or in that manner so that we can try to get at least a 4 to 5% discount for adding everything into one.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Corterio. We'll be looking for brokers. They can probably do everything under one umbrella, and then, like I said, we get a discount for having all services in one.
All right. We're gonna move right on to number 10, recommendation to change road projects from SPLOST commitments to T-SPLOST commitments.
Commissioners, in front of you have, is on page 49, and I've read off what our SPLOST and T-SPLOST commitments were. I am recommending that we move the road projects, the 2023 LMIG and 2024 LMIG projects that are currently under SPLOST over to T-SPLOST, mainly because they are transportation, they are fall under roads, and that would free up, that would take us out of the deficit and give us $183,000 for SPLOST that we could currently use. And that SPLOST can be used for anything, including roads, but it frees up the money to be used for buildings, as of where now we're kind of in a deficit of it all. If we move the roads over to T-SPLOST, where I believe they should be because of transportation, and our match should come from there every year from T-SPLOST, because T-SPLOST is dedicated strictly for transportation. That would put your T-SPLOST balance in a minus at 279, but when we get our allocations over the next 2 months, we'll be back in the positive. I don't see the 2024 LMIG for ER Snail coming in until like the spring. The first payments will be paid out of this year's LMIG money that we received of $800,000. So that is staff's recommendations to move the road projects 2023 LMIG and 24 LMIG to T-SPLOST, or from SPLOST to T-SPLOST, and allocate those funds.
And this is just a matter of cash flow. It's not as if there was any under budgeting or anything. It's just a matter of being able to have cash on hand. And the board can always do a future road project with SPOS if they want to, so that opportunity is still there.
Well, there is an issue, so to speak, of budgeting because of the 2023 LMIG and then the amount of change orders that came in to that LMIG now increased this amount. And finance wasn't aware of the total of the change to the
Correct,
change
Commissioner.
orders.
Till we had a
which
meeting,
then
we
generated
brought it
this.
all up.
And then we need to do a better job as a board of tracking. We approve a certain amount of money for LMIG, then we do change orders, and I think we're lacking late at times in being able to understand what that impact is that put us in this situation, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we've got to do a better job of keeping track of that because we committed to the LMIG products and we did change orders, adding things in different areas that put us in this situation.
And finances, my team will be going through, as we get these commitments, this sheet will be updated with the commitments, with the correct amounts as they come forward and the board approves, change orders, everything going forward.
We had committed to do these projects, and
Correct.
we committed to do this, and the amounts that we committed came in prior to the T-SPOS dollars rolling into the account. So that's
Correct.
truly why we're in this situation.
Correct. And it's not a, like Jeremy, it's not a
Right.
cash flow, can we afford it? It's
Right.
just if invoices come in simultaneously.
Then this is where we're gonna
SPOS
be.
is not gonna be able to cover it. I'm gonna have to borrow from the general
Right.
fund, and that's a whole,
I just want the public to know we're not overspending.
No,
We
no,
we
right.
have,
Yeah.
you're right, we've committed to X number of dollars, and what the commitment of those X number of dollars are reflects a negative balance at this point, but we have not spent those. So if they come in, this is the
Correct.
predicament in which we will be. It's not an
finance is just.
overspending issue.
Yeah, finance
Right.
is just concerned if we get numerous invoices
Right.
at one time with all the projects going on in a SPOS, the funds won't be there to
But the
cover.
change orders did come in at almost $400,000.
Yes, sir, there
Right.
were little, that's why I broke it out on the second one, change orders, $486,704.45 with a 23 LMIG change orders.
And the balance you're talking about with T-Splosh right now has nothing to do with that future
No, sir.
1,013,000 we have coming from the state, right?
No, that LRA money, that's in the general fund, that's totally separate, that's not allocated in a special revenue fund or anything of that nature.
No batch of that, required batch.
Then that match, remember a couple months ago, they announced all the counties are getting.
Yeah, it's that RLA money, it's in the
And we're
general
hoping
fund.
to use that towards culverts drain. I just want to make sure we wouldn't put it back
No,
up
no,
and
no.
start to feed off that already. I was just asking.
Right, that's strictly for whenever the board votes for the LRA projects, that's what that funds, those funds will be used for. And that's strictly in the general fund and it's sitting there in the general fund.
I understand. Thank you.
No, I just, you do a fantastic job of getting this data and getting it out and then catching this. So I just, before you were here, a lot of those change orders were done and approved. So I'm looking forward to your aggressiveness in that as well as that we get this information earlier to not be in this position to have to do, we may have to do the same thing, but we do it periodically as we go through and have a full understanding instead of
Yes, sir,
you know,
Commissioner Ward, thank you.
48 hours of notice, right?
Yes.
So we got a lot of questions you got to understand where. And we
My
all-
goal is to be
we all
very
approve
transparent with
everything.
the financials to the
Right,
board with
yeah.
all our commitments. And if I catch something that we're looking like we're gonna be overcommitted and not have the funds, it's definitely something I'm gonna bring to the board as soon as I catch it, so the board's aware of what's going on.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve, where's the wording yet?
Reallocation of the road
Reallocation
projects.
of SPOS to T-SPOS for the 2023 and 2024 Lamigga Road projects.
I'll second it.
Got a motion, got a second. All
Thank
in
you.
favor?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Number 11, consider request from Manchester and Manchester MDA for assistance partnership for the 4th of July fireworks.
Mrs. Pengelly, do you want to speak today, or?
I came as a citizen, Suzanne Bartels Pengelly, came as a citizen to speak last meeting, and we've asked you to participate once again in this community 4th of July Independence Day celebration. And as you can see, I think you received you were looking for information, what we spent last year and what we're up to this year and so forth. And we put together an events team, and last year when the city asked us to come forward and take over this. I have an events background and a show background, so I I jumped in there, of course. This, from my understanding, the county actually did this event years ago, and then, then all of a sudden, I guess didn't want to do it anymore, and I don't know all of the reasons, whatever. I'm fairly new to the county. I'm sorry?
I think the sheriff's department's the one, not the county, but the sheriff's department, his budget used to put on the fireworks.
In Meriwether.
Right.
Okay, and then it stopped, and then Manchester took it over. Manchester took it over for the community, the whole community, not just Manchester, provided the fireworks, and that's been going on for, I guess, 10 years, and then they asked us to take it over. So we wanted to put on a safe, organized, fun-filled event for citizens and the whole community. It's not Manchester's, for the whole community. Right. And so anyway, that's why we're coming to you again. We posted it in that way as well, where it was hosted by the city, MDA, and the county last year. And we'd like to be able to do that again this year.
I think the original request was to recognize or to honor Judy Taylor Foster Pike for her services she has put forth through the entire county.
Absolutely.
And she was very well known, very well respected throughout the county. They owned a large business in Manchester for many, many years. And, I think that's probably a great thing, in my personal opinion, to do, is to honor her this year with some donation toward Manchester. I know that the county plans to do their own at Lake Meriwether, but I do think that honoring Judy is a great thing.
Yes.
Is there a specific dollar?
Is there a certain amount that you all are asking for? I know it was 12.5 last year.
Yeah, last year, I mean, the MDA has no income coming in.
Right.
I mean, we put in 15,000. The city took care of the fireworks again last year, which was, somewhere in the neighborhood of, 17.5. And
The fireworks last year was like 17.5.
yeah, and this year they're higher.
12,000 of the 17.
I'm sorry?
So the county paid 12.5 of the 17.
No, I think you got all the expenses that we incurred. I mean.
We don't have any.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, let me see here.
I know we just paid 12.5. It didn't necessarily just go to
it
fireworks.
It wasn't just for the fireworks. I mean, we had expenses for fireworks, the entertainment stage, sound, lights, the porta potties, flyover, helicopter rides, the T-shirts and koozies, and all the things that go with that. We asked for 4 off-duty county, Meriwether County officers, to work with us. We wanted to show, the safety aspect and take care of some employees here in the county as well. So we had 4 of them on site with us as well. We had, all the maintenance of the property, beforehand, which needed, it comes, when you stop and think of it, the ant killer and the grass mowing, and I mean, it was a few $1,000s just to get ready for it. So anyway, there were a lot of expenses. Basically, we didn't know, being the first time that we put on this event, we didn't know. We ended up having great sponsors throughout the county and city. We had great vendors, so we, got some money there as well. And basically, we ended up, I mean, obviously, you want to break even, with an event. You don't want to go in the hole. And we actually ended up with a little bit more than we expected, which basically goes into we have a separate an account just for events such as this. And that's the big one that we're putting on with the county. And, we just would like you to participate.
Right. So this board's already approved $25,000 for July 4th celebration fireworks in a previous meeting, which is double what we committed to last year.
For Lake Meriwether.
Well, I don't know, was it specifically assigned to Lake Meriwether, or was it for July 4th celebration?
I think it's signed for July 6th. For July 6th fireworks at Lake
Do we know how much we've spent or anticipate spending to that mark, and will there be anything left over that can be reallocated to the city of Manchester?
Well, Commissioner, I can tell you from the donations so far, the sponsorships that came in, it's roughly around $13,000
That we've spent?
that came in on sponsorships.
Okay.
All right,
Well, that's
so right
different,
now we
though.
need to focus on just the numbers itself. We allocated $25,000 for it without the sponsors, because you can't take anything from the Lake Meriwether Committee that went out here and raised all that money and got sponsors, where a lot of those sponsors would not have sponsored if it was going to a city or going here or going there. So right now we need to look at, we have a lot of $25,000 in the budget for fireworks. We need to know what our cost is going to be without the reason for them to go out and hustle and raise money is to save the county taxpayers money.
Correct.
In other words, if we could save it, not spend the whole 25, we could keep that money in general fund to pay for other bills. So you can't look at it as, oh, well, if they went out and raised all of it, then we're good, we give them all of it. You can't take that from the hard work and efforts of people trying to save the taxpayers money.
Yes, sir.
So what he was asking, I think he was asking is where we at without the sponsorship money, where are we at total expenses and what do we have left of the 25?
The only thing we have spent so far is $7,500 deposit of the $15,000 and the band for $2,800. That's the only expenses that
Out of the 25,000.
out of the
We
25.
committed to 15,000 on the, fireworks.
We paid half of that.
But we've got to spend the other half.
We got to spend another
That's-
We got
7,500.
2,800 for the band.
18.
Yes, and we've already paid that as well.
And then we spent some miscellaneous, on signs and,
Yeah,
So what do you think we're at total right
we
now?
possibly
totally,
have to rent-
maybe,
We're gonna have to rent some porta pots and stuff like that, so. I figured it was gonna be close to
fully
about
spent 15,
26,000.
17,
So
probably about 19,000, 18, 19,000.
18, 19. Well, I will say, and as the District 4 Commissioner, I think this is a great opportunity this year. I would like to honor Judy for everything that she's done in the county. And considering that Manchester pays a lot of county taxes and they have requested this, and yes, we are moving forward to do our own here within the county for the citizens throughout. This is one city that has continued to share their resources throughout the entire county, whether it's recreation, whether it's anything else that they have, and I think that is very admirable of them to do that. So I personally would like to make a recommendation or make a motion to provide the city of Manchester and the MDA upon their request $10,000 to go toward the fireworks for 2024.
that'll put us over the 25,000 total.
That's what we committed to Lake Meriwether. This is a separate thing. So if it had been committed to fireworks in general across the county, that would be one thing. But that 25,000 commitment, as just stated when asked, was for Lake Meriwether fireworks. So this is outside of that, and it's a separate motion outside of that. This will be $10,000 in motion, $10,000 to be given to the city of Manchester and the MDA for their fireworks on July 3rd.
What concerns me with that is if we committed 25 and then we do 10 to Manchester, well, if Greenville wants 10 and Lutherville wants 10 and Warren Springs wants 10.
But they're not doing it. That's the thing. If they were doing it, if Woodbury wanted to do it, Greenville wanted to do it, and other cities wanted to do it, yes, then we would have to divide it up and look at doing it that way. And hopefully next year we can move to a more centralized area. But since the other cities aren't doing this and they haven't done it over the years, and the commitment that Manchester has given and the amount of taxes that come in from that city, not only just the property taxes, but what we receive in SPLOST, T-SPLOST, and LOST because of the sales that come through that city. Again, I'd like to make that motion to put $10,000 toward the Manchester fireworks for July 3rd.
Just to add to,
There's a motion on the floor, though.
okay, I got a motion on the floor, do I have a second?
Could we adjust that number down some and make a contribution
His motion first, to start off with, his motion first is for the 10, so we either have a second or not, and then we can go back and discuss that. So do I have a second? Okay, so it fails for a lack of a second. Now, what I was fixing to say, as he mentioned, we voted to spend $25,000 on Lake Meriwether, but if you would read the minutes and go back, the full discussion was this year's fireworks, do we want to go in with Manchester and contribute like we did last year and have theirs, or do we want to do Meriwether County's fireworks this year. That was part of the whole conversation. So the decision was made, we're gonna do Meriwether County's fireworks, and then they said, how much are we gonna spend? And we said, we'll make a max of 25,000. So we committing on the taxpayers and the citizens of Meriwether County, we voted to spend 25,000. If we turn around and go back now and said, we decided not to go that direction to spend another 10, now we're spending 35,000 of taxpayers' money, when that wasn't the whole discussion in that meeting. We had an opportunity at that time to either contribute and go that route or go the new route. So that's why I keep asking, where are we at? If we allotted 25,000 and we're gonna spend 22, and the board says, hey, just contribute 2,000 or 3,000, whatever, that would be more in line with what we told the citizens we were gonna do and what we've been working so hard to do, but that's my opinion.
And at the time of that discussion for the 25,000, Manchester and the MDA had not come to request that amount of money. So that discussion in that scenario is, to me, irrelevant because we had not been requested to provide something to them.
I agree that it's a good time to honor Ms. Foster and support Manchester in their efforts of what they've continued to do. Those Manchester citizens are county citizens as well. Based on the math of what we feel like we're committed and what we approved, I'd be in favor of 5,000 to Manchester. That would put us to the edge of where we committed to as a county for fireworks, but I don't, and I can make that in the form of a motion, I guess.
And I would be willing to second that, 5,000 to honor Judy Fox.
Adam did a motion.
I made a motion to commit $5,000 of the 25,000 firework money.
And I will second that.
I got a motion, I got a,
Just wasn't sure if it was official.
I got a motion, I got a second. All in favor?
Opposed? Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. I do want to say, since we're on this, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to say that, it's almost appearing every time something comes forward for the city of Manchester, the majority of this board tends to vote a lot of things down. So those of you who helped to support this today, thank you for that. But I just don't understand why we keep having issues toward the city of Manchester when they have been very gracious and they have tried and they have really helped over the years with a minimal amount of money given to them, whether it's recreation or what have you. And, I do understand that we need to move into a certain way, but I do want it on record too, as I stated earlier, we have a lot of tax money coming from Manchester. We have the largest amount when we divide the T-SPLOS, the LOST, and the SPLOST. Manchester tends to get the larger percentage because population, and also, if we look at it, most of the sales are coming through that area. So there's a lot of money. If Manchester were to decide to sever themselves from Meriwether County, they can easily do it. We're looking at a huge decrease in not only our tax, our property tax income, but a huge decrease in every other fund that we have. And if a city severs themselves from us, that really hurts us for the simple fact that we don't do any work inside of a city. We do all of our work outside in the rural areas, and to have such a decrease to add up to millions and millions and millions of dollars out of our budget, I think that we're gonna pretty much see that we can't do it without them. And I really want to say that I'm very disappointed in a lot of decisions that are being made lately. And I understand that we have Lake Meriwether and we need to do things throughout the county for all citizens, but Manchester has always opened their doors and all to every citizen in this county at every event, whether it's Christmas with Santa, whether it is the fireworks, et cetera, et cetera. And I know people are probably getting tired of me sitting up here talking, but there's just things I have to say. And bringing all of this to Lake Meriwether feeds the city of Woodbury, and that's great that it feeds the city of Woodbury, but there's also a lot of personal reasons on some people of this board to feed the city of Woodbury. So I just want that put in as a statement on my behalf. That's all.
So I'd like to respond if, first of all, the personal thing with board members, even though I voted in favor of this, I think it's just a personal assumption of either yours or other people. I don't see the need for that to even be in the meeting. The city of Manchester, that's a two-way street. They need us like we need them. They can try their luck with Talbot County if they want to do that. I don't know why that's even put out as a threat or a serious conversation of them severing with Meriwether County. There is a problem in this county of isolation in cities and the county working in silos. It's been that way since I was a child, and I've never understood it. Everyone hates Manchester, and to be honest, you go outside of Meriwether County, and everybody hates Manchester. And generally it went back to football because Manchester would beat them in football all those years ago. What have you, that has always been the case. This county's got to come together. It's a large county that it takes you 40 to 45 minutes to go to Manchester to enjoy any activity. And as we've said before and agreed with you, commend Manchester on their efforts that they've done through recreation and fireworks to try and do something, as they are the largest entity that could financially absorb that. They've generally done a great job in trying to do that. However, it's extremely difficult to get to that end of the county. And then the other ends of the county don't have the funds to do it. We have a beautiful location in Woodbury. If we had a central location in Greenwood, we could do these fireworks. Would be the ideal place to do it. I agree that we've got to work better with Manchester, and I think the citizens on that end of the county, and I live on that end of the county, have got to do a better job of recognizing there's more to Meriwether County once you get outside of Manchester and Warm Springs. And that's what this board's intention is to do, is to improve the life and quality of life for every citizen in the county and not isolate it to that southern end. That being said, there's also where the most of the money's at, where it's coming from, and where most of it kind of is going to end up at, because there's more activity and volume of things going on and damage to roads and other facilities, or Greenville and South. But we have to start as a board with that unification of the county and bringing that together. It's got to start here.
I'd like to comment on, having done a lot of large events from in the past, I won't put a time frame on it, but I think the lack of planning in advance is critical. And with that being said, we'll go with both events this year, but I would encourage both entities, Manchester and the Lake Meriwether group or whatever, come together and come to a consensus of where, when, and the amount needed, because large events do not just happen. You've got a lot of things that are unseen and unknown. And I've always said the first event, whether it's here or there, I don't care where it is, you learn from it. There will be positives and there will be negatives. But I would encourage parties from both entities to come together. And if it's going to be someone mutual, like Peaches and the Pines or whatever, we just got through with that. You learn from that, because it's not easy to pull off a successful event. And Manchester was gracious enough in the past to pick it up. And I would say, to make a good event better, you take what you learn, the negatives and the positives, and don't ever negate the negatives. That's where you learn. The positives you can build on, but with that being said, I appreciate everything that Manchester has done in the past, and having gone last year, it was a fantastic event. And with that being said, I look forward to hopefully participating in both this year. But I would just encourage us to continue to work together as a team. That's it for me.
Well, all I like to say is, like Adam said, we need to get unity in the county. And to me, the county owns Lake Meriwether's more centralized location for the residents. And Brian, I was born and raised in Manchester. So
I know that.
Got a lot of stuff there. But, Manchester, the T-Splash, I think they get about, 20% of the money?
17.
Huh? 17. We just gave them 25% of what we're spending on fireworks, so.
Yeah.
I think we did all we needed to do for Manchester, and I appreciate what y'all do, and as Roland said, it takes a lot of planning, and you know, I'm used to planning stuff outside of government, but it does take a little longer in government, so I'm learning. Thank y'all for your support. Thank you.
I do want to say mine wasn't a threat, mine was a scenario, because I do see a lot, and I agree, the county has to come together, and you know, it wasn't just the football, it was the county consolidation back in the late 80s and things like that that separated the county, and we all need to come together. But, you know, what I said wasn't a threat, it was a scenario that if Manchester were to sever from us, it would be a big hurt for the county overall. And I wanted to put that out there because I do live in the area, I've always lived in the area, and I thank Manchester for everything that they've done. So I wanted to clarify, it wasn't a threat, it was a scenario.
Well, I'll add to that, and truthfully, we had a motion, then we had a second, all that should have fell under discussion, and then once we vote, we're supposed to move right on, but since everybody wanted to have comments and participate in it, I'll mention two things. One, when this board makes a vote on anything, whether we agree with it or don't agree with it, that is the vote. That is said and done, and you move on. We shouldn't question each other one why they didn't do this or why they didn't do that. That's why we're elected by our district, by our constituents, to represent them and do the best we can. If we change it later on, we change it later on, but it's, as you mentioned, it's becoming a habit, like we got something against Manchester. I have nothing against Manchester. Anything I can help you, Mr. Bryan, in your district, your constituents, the roads, getting things that'll benefit all the citizens, I'm there for you 100%. All this is, I'm talking now.
We're good.
And then we're gonna move on. But I'm just saying that whether it's Emmett, myself, or me, Emmett, and Adam, or if it happens to be one day Rosa and I don't vote for something, we move on, and that's it. It's not to be questioned or called out in front of everybody in a meeting as, well, why they do this all the time. So we're all going to work together in the future and try to get things done. The main reason for it was I had heard so much talk in the last couple of weeks about how much that committee down there has raised, that since they raised so much, we ought to just give Manchester a bunch of money. And over all the years of me sponsorships, doing things and raising money for different organizations, nothing is more of a gut punch when you go out and work so hard to raise money for something, and then somebody wants to take your money and give it to somebody else. It just takes the wind out of your sails and makes you go, next year I won't raise a dime. So, but anyhow, everybody got a chance to say something. We're gonna move right on to the agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for all your comments too. I appreciate you today. We'll go right on to number 12, request for engine replacement on 2017 dump trucks, Public Works.
Yes, sir, Commissioners. We're coming before you today to get an amount not to exceed for an engine for a 2017 box dump truck. This is a dump truck that we need not only to haul rock, we will use it to haul equipment. We have had it for 3 years, and we have gotten 3 different prices. Sourcewell has a price of $9,400. Buying it directly from Mike Patton has a total of about $9,600, and then we have a used engine. Both of those two, Sourcewell and Mike Patton, are new engines with warranties. The 100, there is a used engine that's available from a nearby vendor for $8,500 plus any cost of machining, and that only has a 30 or 90-day warranty. We would like to ask, because the prices are fluctuating, I would like to get a not to exceed amount of $95, $85, $29, and then if we can come back with something lower, then we will be up underneath that amount from whichever of the vendors comes back.
Is that a gas or diesel engine?
Diesel.
Well, it says here Sourcewell 940588 via local.
Yes, sir.
What deal is that?
So Sourcewell, Ford Corporation has a contract with Sourcewell to where we can buy directly from them. Since it's a government purchasing cooperative, it alleviates the bid request for it. However, Ford will then go to a local dealer and process the order through them. But we buy it under the Sourcewell price. And that's why it differentiates between Sourcewell and Mike Patton Direct, because this price right here, the $95.85, is the direct price at this time. The Sourcewell price at this time is $94.05.
But what kind of truck is this?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a 2017 Ford box dump. It's a Ford 750.
Okay.
And-
So is the Sourcewell motor by the local dealer, is that a Ford engine?
Yes, sir, it is. It's a Ford part going to a
Mike Patton
Ford
is
dealer.
also a Ford engine?
Yes,
So
sir.
they're both the same?
Yes, sir. And it would be sold through Mike Patton
Right.
at the Sourcewell price.
Didn't we just put an engine in a dump truck last year?
Yes, sir, we did. This is a different dump truck. This is certainly not the same
And we
one.
had to put an engine in an ambulance?
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason for so many engines going out?
Because they're doing 450,000 hard miles a year. This dump truck specifically was bought used by us in '21. The ambulance chassis, I remember talking with Chief Stevens, that had a lot of miles
I'm
on
just
it.
wondering if it's got something to do with the maintenance on these engines.
No, sir, because they're serviced by 2 or 3 different groups. I will say though that we put hard miles on vehicles in this county. We have an aging fleet, and it's just part of the cost of having an aging fleet. Now, we do have options for that we'll bring before you later, but this is just a symptom of having a fleet that is as old as it is.
Well, I mean, this is 17 truck, it says.
Yes, sir.
It ain't too old.
Right, yes, sir.
I'm surprised you can get a diesel engine for 9,400, because they're usually around 12,000.
Yes, sir. It's the purchasing cooperatives
And
and
we spend
whatnot.
20,000 to put one in an ambulance.
I'm wondering if they're different models, like,
That's probably,
but it had the 6.7 turbo diesel, that may be a 6-cylinder cat engine.
Yeah, but that was
Seven.
just,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Right,
That's
the
what we
engine was
got.
on, isn't this the Public Works mechanics gonna install this engine?
Yes, sir.
So all this is for the engine cost?
yes, sir.
Well, the engine cost on the ambulance was about the same thing.
Right.
That's about 12, wasn't it?
Now, it's
29.
And the other was the
13 and
installation.
change at the end of the day.
So I mean, about the same.
And two, that's part of the reason we're going with the not to exceed amount, because if we can build any flexibility, talking to the different vendors, that will allow us to come up underneath. And of course, we'd come back and confirm the price with you guys before we pull the trigger.
Do I have a motion from this board to do an engine replacement for the 2017 dump truck for Public Works for not to exceed the amount of what?
9585.29.
Not to exceed that amount.
So moved.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Over 10,000 for gas was in my truck.
Oh, yeah.
Easy, it's cheaper than,
We'll go right on to
did it like 2 weeks ago.
number 13, request for purchase of 12 automatic external defibrillators, AEDs, for the county buildings and recreation.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, as being appointed as safety coordinator, I've visited most of the buildings in the county and have not seen an AED in any of the buildings. Most of the, if I talk to, like Kai has told me there's one there, but it's probably never been serviced. She doesn't know if it still works. With Chief Stevens, speaking to him, I think there's only been 2 that's been purchased in the entire county. There's a new legislation about to come out that AEDs and Narcan needs to be outside of every meeting room. So this is getting us prepared for that legislation. I did go out and get 3 quotes, one from Stryker, one from AED Grant, which just gave us a discount. It really wasn't a grant price, it was just a discount price rate. And then from Noonan CPR, AED, Stryker and the AED Grant, we can get the LifePak CR2, which is compatible with the EMS, what they have now. There's no, it's just plug and play, ready to go. Zoll comes in a little cheaper, but there's an adapter you have to buy, and instead of trying to hunt down an adapter and trying to find an adapter, minutes in that situation could be life or death. And with situations that occurred here, surrounding counties, from a safety committee standpoint, we need AEDs for the citizens and for the employees in every of the buildings.
Zoll's product is not as good, I'll tell you that.
yeah, I agree with that.
There's a $2,000 difference in it. If you went with the AED Grant, there's about a $66 difference, but finding the cabinets and the medical, the mask and all that to keep everybody safe, the $2,000 increase, and financially speaking, it's worth it for just for EMS to come, plug and go, and, you know, save a patient's life. And they will be trained CPR and AED on how to use them. I mean, most of them now, and Chief can tell you that it basically tells you how to use them and how to operate them.
So what's the total amount for the purchase?
Total purchase from Stryker is $26,869.80.
And this come out of the general fund?
Yes, sir. It'll come proposed out of capital-wide account outlay. We could use SPOS, but I don't want to use SPOS funds since we just reallocated some monies from that, so we'll use the county capital outlay.
Yes, sir, Chief.
And as John's saying, this is kind of just a start. You know, we're gonna have to buy these in phases because we got a lot of office space that we need some AEDs and stuff in. The CR2s, like he said, are compatible with our LifePak 15s. That's our monitors that we carry on our ambulance. So if he uses an AED on Blue, for instance, puts the pads on him, he does the shot, we come in, all we gotta do is unplug the pads, plug them straight into our monitor, and we can utilize the same equipment. So we have the pads in stock. We, in this program, we're gonna set up where we do the maintenance on them, go out and check them, go out and make sure the pads are in date, you know, they're not expired. And also there's gonna come the cabinets are important because we're gonna have to put Narcan with them. Come July, with the legislation that's coming up, we've got to put that Narcan with every AED that is in a public place that we're over, so.
With the fentanyl issue going around the United States and not knowing what you touch, it's pretty much necessary to have that.
Oh, yeah.
It's better to inject it at that point and mess up because it's not going to hurt you.
We've
than it
had
is to
some
not have it.
very good success stories with Narcan recently. You know, just going out and being able to get that Narcan, that dose in immediately before, you know, the ambulance gets there or something like that, so.
Do we know what the warranty is on these particular ones?
It's eight years
8
for
years.
Stryker.
And is there an extended warranty that could be
I can ask and find
for
out.
a reasonable price? I mean, if there's something there that would extend it for minimal, maybe we need to look into that, and it may keep us from actually having to purchase more at a higher rate later down the road.
We can check on it, Commissioner, if y'all want to put a cap on not to exceed.
Well, I think we can do whatever today with this, and then come back if there's that and present it to us, and we'll just determine it at that time. But I do know that a lot of these equipments, when you can purchase that manufacturer an extended warranty for a minimal amount, a lot of times it really is going to save money in the long run.
Yes, and we're just asking for 12. I mean, we need probably triple that amount, but 12 gets us one for the rec department that really needs one, because you never know when someone may pass out at a rec field. That's one dedicated to the recreation department in Woodbury. The other 11 was just, from what me and Steven talked about, was just to put in the buildings that we can at least get one in every building. That way there's in every meeting place.
You know, like the courthouse, putting one at the courthouse, you know, really we need 3, one on each floor, you know, but we're just trying to get one in every building right now to try to,
So in the previous meetings minutes that we approved earlier, Mr. Cole, your comment said public safety is working on an AED grant.
Yes, sir.
So is there a grant to go with this?
That was the
Or is
second
it-
quote was the grant. It was just a discount price on the AED grant. That was the one that we got the fastest turnaround time on. There are grants out there, but you're looking at 3-4 months before you get an answer back. And like Chief Stevens said, July 1st, this legislation goes into play that every meeting place needs to have a AED
So
and Narcan.
we are working on an AED grant.
Correct.
Not working on a
No,
quote
we're
for
not currently,
AEDgrant.com.
but we have reached out for AED grants and we got the information. We
That
just have to
can
apply for them.
cover future purchases.
Yes.
And possibility of getting us more than the 12. Yeah. So if we
Correct.
purchase the 12 now and we get the grant, we can.
That's the host of the Finance and Safety Committee is purchase them now and then apply for a grant to get the other. I think we need about 55 total altogether.
And you did say there'd be a maintenance system put into place.
yes,
to check over.
well, some of these actually have they'll communicate through Wi-Fi.
Right.
But I want hands on them every 6 months at least, you know, and we can go out, we can do, assign that to somebody within the fire department. We go out and make sure we do a check on those, just like we check our apparatus and ambulances and stuff daily. We can do these checks, you know, every 6 months.
I mean, to have your systems come off of a truck that are so compatible so quickly with that AED system and not have to do anything but switch it over.
Yeah.
Just that 5 seconds right there is
It's
detrimental when it's
huge.
saving life.
Because where is that adapter gonna be when you need it?
Probably down the street.
You never know, you know, you're gonna be looking for it, so.
Well, thank you so much for coming and all the information. Do I have a motion to purchase the 12 automatic external defibrillators?
So moved.
For the county buildings and recreation?
So moved.
Got it?
Which vendor and
Stryker for,
With Stryker for the 26,869.80.
All right, got a motion?
from general fund, right?
Yes.
Got 2 seconds down here, so we roll it.
2 seconds. So
So you just pick one.
you pick.
All in favor?
thank commissioners.
They've already looked at this. Sometimes at our insurance providers, if you do something that reduces liability, or you do something that will cut your health costs, they contribute. So I don't know if we've asked that question yet or not, but it would be worth a phone call to find out if they can contribute something to that too.
That's hidden in the fine print.
Yes. And when
They want
ACG
to know
comes
that,
by,
but
looks at the building,
ask
he'll
them
see
to know.
those.
Number 14, discussion Lake Meriwether host caretaker. Mr. Emmett?
Well, we had a late meeting last night and we discussed about the host and, we wanted to, the board, the advisory board wanted to ask Valerie if she would do a little more research on the availability of hosts. And, you know, see how we could put it out there to get hosts, signed up and all that. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on this, Mr. Robert Lovett has agreed to work part-time and cover the lake for us until we decide if we're gonna go with a host or not. But the board was real, they liked the idea of a host and put a special campsite up on top of the hill up by the dumping station for the host and run their line right into the septic system and stuff like that. And the host would be available, I think, 4 nights a week, at least 4 nights a week, and that would be on weekend. They would work 20 hours, but then we just got some more stuff we need to look into on the host. Yeah. But they are in favor of using a host out there, and Mr. Roberts said if we get a host for 3 months and then they gone and we don't have another host coming in until a month, he would work part-time for that month till we did get a host. So.
Yeah.
We, Miss Valerie, you know, could potentially, you know, help with criminal background checks and, you know, helping us get set up for that. But she's pretty well got a full workload, but we could, you know, look at another staff member somewhere to, you know, potentially pick that up and run with it and see what the availability is.
Well, I mean, I can call and find out about it, but I'm still going to have.
Wasn't you asking Allison to look into that? Wasn't you asking Allison to look into, or Valerie?
Valerie.
Valerie,
Okay.
Valerie.
Yes.
She's HR.
Does she have help now?
Yeah, she's got some.
Yes, ma'am, but with open enrollment and the insurance changes and the benefits work that she's doing, it's just, it's a big workload for her.
And we'll get to the policy manual.
Would be something you could look into. It's not that much to it, as what we discussed at the lake last night.
Right.
Just to reach out there and find availability. Is there people that's on a waiting list? Is it gonna be feasible? They were concerned last night, like if you had somebody, because they're supposed to come in from 2 months, but a max of 6 months. So, you know, maybe at some other parks, did they find there's a large gap and it takes a while and you're searching? Once we initiate it and we move forward with it, that's when Valerie will step in and do the background check and the job description and so forth. But you got your hands full right now. But that'd be great. That's all you're asking for someone to take a look into it.
Yes, sir. I've got all the notes of the, you know, comments from Lake Meriwether and questions and things commissioners, you know, came up with and whatnot. And staff can handle it. I would just say let's just leave it open-ended rather than like, you know, making a motion for Valerie specifically to to spearhead it. Just said staff, you know, staff look into it.
I just thought that was her department, so.
Well, hey, Emmett, I have a question because of my ignorance on these things. Are there companies that do these things, or?
Well, I don't know. What we mainly looked at was Georgia State Parks host agreement, and I'm sure they got they probably got a mile-long list of people that want to host these sites. And I mean, I've got one guy from Meriwether County that's already contacted me about building hosts out there, and he does that at several parks across the state.
Right.
But I mean, I figured, I could probably call somebody with natural resources and ask them,
Right.
how do they contact these hosts? How do they put it out?
Right.
They probably may say, well, we advertise it on a certain website. Well, then we can go from there.
But like last night when we was at the meeting, you could go in and Google it. Indeed actually has, if you go Indeed campsite host, boom, they got people lined up. So he was just asking whether he needs to do it or the board, should be involved, or at this point, somebody help them, let them know. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good program, because then they're gonna ask the board for permission to move forward on that. But it is on Indeed. It says right there, campsite host, and it talks about the different states. And some of them are paying $8 an hour, some of them are paying $16 an hour. It depends on how big the state park is and what state is in. I think what they're looking for is that host that wants to come in, they get free hookup, free power, and they get to spend 6 months there without paying anything, but they've got to keep the bathrooms clean, stocked up, and have a contact with somebody if there's an electrical problem to get Lee out there. Kind of like what Mr. Robert was doing, but they're just there. And then these folks leave and they'll go to another park and do it there for 3 months, 3 months, 6 months. What they're trying to find out is, when they leave, is there actually a waiting list? I mean, are we gonna start having a problem every time one leaves? Now we're spending 6 months trying to find somebody?
Yeah, there are organizations that host the travel, they have the travel host.
Right.
We just need to look into doing some of those. I've got some information that I've done already on that. Do we know yet if this would be somebody that's on our payroll, or are we gonna pay them on a contract basis, or do we know that part, or that's a factor too?
I don't think y'all decided yet whether they're gonna pay them by the hour or just give them the free rent and what they were.
Georgia State Parks, they just volunteer hosts.
And the reason I was asking him if there was a company is because I was thinking if there are companies, if they could come and do a presentation as to what is offered through these individuals that are signed up, or if we need to put out, I guess, an RFP or something for them to come in and compete for. I don't know. That's what I was asking. But if there's a company or entity that does this and provides these individuals that want to do the host, maybe we could get the information from them.
I don't think the ones that do it for the state probably go through a company.
Okay.
The state said they have to go through a background check, and then every 3 years they have to do it again, re-background checks.
Okay. Thank you.
I looked more into it, but the main thing about this event was Robert. Robert working part-time until we do figure out exactly what we want to do.
That's what's actually projected them to start figuring out what we're gonna do, because Mr. Roberts said he wasn't gonna do it anymore. He was stepping down. So if you remember, the last 2 or 3 months, we've been trying to figure out who's gonna do it, but now he's come back and he's willing just to take it back over and do it. I guess he's just doing it. But if we can still find someone, or they can find someone, then Mr. Robert will step in between, so we won't never be lacking out there.
Do we need a motion to get Robert back for part-time?
Yeah, I would think so.
Do we want to pay him the same rate he's left, or?
Yeah, just continue paying the same thing.
Was he full-time before?
No, I think he was part-time before as well. It's more like a contract type thing. Wasn't it there?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
All I know is he keeps telling me $30 a day.
Okay. I don't remember.
We couldn't get nobody to do, you can't get nobody to do what I'm doing for $30 a day.
Yeah. He's out there anyway. I've
Yeah,
seen him
he-
out
Yeah.
there. He's out there
He loves it
practicing.
out there, yeah, so.
Sitting on the courts with that.
Well, I imagine when I get
There's a lot of his
age, I
duties,
want to
though,
get
are
something
gonna
to do too.
a lot of his responsibilities are gonna be smaller because we've got the reservation system set up now. Like Meriwether has a website, you go on there, you scan the QR code, banks and that. So a lot of those duties that he was doing with a little pad and writing down people's names and stuff, you won't have to do that anymore. It's more just going out, putting your eyes on the place, make sure there's no trash just floating around everywhere, like you said, no toilets backed up or electrical problems, and so a lot of his duties are gonna shrink as well, so.
And Mr. Roberts a great historian for Meriwether County, and he takes everybody through that building and shows them every picture he's got about Meriwether County. So that's a
I found
plus.
that out a few months ago.
Yeah, that's
I shot down for the first time.
It's a big plus.
Took my firewall down to show him Lake Meriwether. The next thing I knew about everything he has done and every picture in that building. But it was very interesting. I enjoyed it.
Have you been out there, Brian?
Yeah,
Did he give you a picture of the covered bridge?
he did, and I went and sat with him on the front porch for a while.
Yeah, I got one too. So does he need to make a motion that we're not talking about for Mr. Robert to continue?
But I'm on the lake board.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to rehire Mr. Robert Lovett, part-time Lake Meriwether at the same rate or amount of money that he was receiving prior to resigning. Does that work, Nathan?
Y'all know what that amount is?
We don't, but whatever it is, whatever it
They know
was.
what that is.
Do we want to add to that while we're in the process of finding caretaker?
Nah.
But what it is, because if not, then we hire a caretaker, he's still hired. So either.
He will be just part-time.
But here's the thing,
Part-time.
but we need to leave him in that, because if we do have a host come in and that host can't do it, then we're gonna have to come back in and rehire him again. So let's just leave him in the part-time.
Somebody's
Right.
got to train the host as to
All
where things are and how.
right, I got a motion on the
I
floor.
second.
Got a second, all in favor? All right, there we go. All right, report from the county administrator.
Yes, sir. Participated in T-SPOS meetings with cities. It was very nice speaking with them. Understand the road patch RFP by the ton is going out. Signed off on the audit documents. Just spoke really briefly with John about that. Wasn't much to it. John had it in good order, of course. Discussed with John too, ahead of time, the reassignment of the SPOS and T-SPOS money and whatnot that we just took care of. Spoke at the Lions Club about T-SPOS and county projects and progress. That was a very nice group of people. Really enjoyed them, and they're leaders in the community that help carry that information out to the rest of our people. Really enjoyed that. Let me see. Met with Brandon. Discussed the addressing process a bit further. Attended a tax assessors board meeting. Went to the airport authority meeting. Part of what they, or just a few of the things they discussed was the GDOT LiDAR approach survey. That's of course the approach. The federal government lowered the approach angle for planes some time back, and they've reached out to a landowner with trees, but received no response because that's all about topping the trees to establish the angle. I've had to work on that type of stuff before as well. They were discussing using someone cutting that can use the wood, so that maybe it might be a little bit more affordable service. They decided to table indefinitely talks of an aerobic box due to noise concern. That's where the planes have a specified area where they can do aerobics and whatnot. They discussed maybe having it over a timber track, which Blue brought up was a good idea. But they have to have points of reference like a runway and whatnot, so that was kind of a no-go and why it got tabled. They discussed the possibility of addressing internet concerns at the hangars that renters had. They talked about possibly using a repeater or tying into the fiber at the office building, and they tabled that one as well for further discussion later. And of course, they approved the intergovernmental agreement for the operating expense reimbursement that was sent there by the commissioners. Attended the IDA meeting, the work session. That was very enlightening. They talked about development opportunities, available sites. I threw out some grants and the pros and cons of possibly pursuing those at some point for certain things. Of course, we already covered Lake Meriwether. We tried to deal with railroad closings in short notice as best we could. We got really short notice on some of those, and only 2 employees were notified. And so we worked to establish some contacts there with both the railroad and their third-party consultants that they use, so that we can get better warning, and the first responders in particular can have time to react to that, to plan routes around it, and maybe even reach out to other counties if they need assistance getting to certain areas quickly. So that was something we kind of jumped into real fast. we started up the bank paperwork where I can, start doing the checks and whatnot, because that takes a while to come back. Talked about, of course, the Cove election site where, Patty was, of course, in front of that, getting that set up, and Blue was already helping with that, so thank you to both of them. Peaches and the Pines, just want to mention that there were 76 vendors there and a little over 900 attendees, as Danny said. That also included 52 disc golfers, so that's getting a lot of attention. There was also the Woodbury Village meeting where we all, department heads and first responders provided comments. We submitted to the RC. I submitted some additional thoughts as well. That's probably a little redundant, but just to make sure we're extra covered and have everything in there. And then of course we had our agenda meeting where we prepare for the agenda. The fireworks event, I share procurement policies and make sure we all stay in line with our procurement policies. Want to mention as well, this is being paid for with Lake Meriwether funds and sponsors as opposed to taxpayer funds. We have received the insurance from the fireworks company and executed the contract with them, and of course the contract with the band as well. We have a great need for dog adoptions at this point. Our shelter is pretty well full. George has been going around spending his weekends trying to do adoption events and whatnot to get homes for these animals, but anybody in the public that might be listening or anything we can do to spread the word that it's a good time to adopt, we definitely need to do that. The kids' baseball I'd already mentioned. Of course, continue to address HR issues. The jail, had mentioned before, the roof is done and the plumbing and the locks are still underway. We communicated with timber companies about the ordinance as well. Ms. Cassandra, or actually Blue, noted that. And, I think we're getting to a better point of establishing those lines of communication and, getting to a better spot there. Also met with our 911 director, discussed that, and just continue to, send updates to the commissioners throughout the week. And that's it from our report.
Yes, sir. As Jared mentioned, we attended things with Bryn regarding 911 and addressing. Also attended water and sewer, industrial development, airport, all those. Over the weekend, attended the Peaches and Pines event. Had a great time. Also want to give a nod to George. Once he found out about the event, he rescheduled himself to be out there. And it was great to see him working and having the animals out there and sharing that. Also had a chance to get the Woodbury DRI back. They ended up getting comments from 2 places in Woodbury, three county organizations, and then Department of Transportation, and then numerous private citizens. I'll be sending this out to you guys later. This does complete their process, and now it goes back into Woodbury's hands. They take their local action that they deem necessary, so we'll be sharing that out. Also, did a lot of work helping out DOT and McCoy and the city of Greenville with the 109 bridge closure. We have had a lot of trucks. We have had a lot of. It's a tough route because DOT can only route onto other state roads, and unfortunately, the nearest state road before that bridge closing is 10 or more miles away. We continue to work with that. We work with Mayor Stargell in Greenville, just trying to find good solutions where there's really not very many. Also, like Jared mentioned, we worked on the Cove precinct, worked on Board of Elections, just different issues, working on the scope of work for the Pathways building so that we can bring that back to you guys and meet the various deadlines that we've got in front of us. And that's all.
Mr. Collins, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I
didn't mean to
just a
overlook
couple
you.
of things. Chief provided you guys. As y'all know, the MBLAC Fire Station, they were working on Dan Striblin Bridge there. GDOT was that let that contract. And in doing so, they raised the profile of the road. When they did, it created an angle and slope to our fire station that we could not
manage with fire trucks. And I wouldn't even want to drive my pickup truck up that. We met with them. We talked to them about it. They have now come back and reported they're going to lower the profile of that road. So they're going to take that road down in front of the fire station, and they're going to reduce the slope to 9% or less. I think that meets the standards of the fire department, and so we have now resolved that issue. Otherwise, that station would have been really unusable for what we were wanting to use it for. So anyway, I'm glad GDOT, appreciate their working with us on that. Last thing to note is, I know the assessment notices are out, a lot of you getting some calls on that. I will try to write up a little memo, just to, talking points where, anybody that wants to look at it and try to explain it. I'll just briefly give a synopsis of the process and all, where you guys will have, send that out to y'all, where if you have any questions that may help you. If not, just, let me know. We'll answer anything we can. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. And over at the fire station, I got with the engineer Tyler.
Right.
They're gonna tear all that concrete that goes down to the fire station. Right. It was poor workmanship. It was nasty. It was disgusting as concrete work goes. And the guy out there doing it, his comment to me was, they ain't gonna do nothing but drive on it. So when I relayed that to Tyler, he agreed it's all gonna be tore out and redone and give us a good looking job for our fire station. So that'd be good too.
You couldn't hardly drive on that. It's so steep.
That's right.
We're also asking to put some drainage in the bottom.
At the bottom?
Trench where they'll catch it. And, if it rains really hard,
It's
we'll
going
go
in.
road to the buildings, we'll catch that trench and run that off. So just wanted to give you guys an update this morning of that. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from Commissioner Collins?
I'd just like to thank all the staff and Public Works and all the department heads for the job they do. And I've been seeing a lot of the mowing going on around the county. They seem like they're doing a very good job on the mowing the right of ways. And we're having a meeting this Thursday at Lake for fireworks if anybody wants to come. And that's all I have.
What time's that meeting?
6.
6 o'clock. Commissioner Rhodes, right?
A couple of things I want to mention. The early voting from the runoff congressional seat is through Friday. You can go into elections office here in Greenville and vote early for that. And that is a very important congressional seat that, especially for the state of Georgia. And with that, I would just hope everyone will exercise their American right to vote. Traditionally, runoffs are very low attended, so everyone please go vote. And I'm going to mention the Highway 109. We have front row seats, and LaGrange Street has closed. And I know this morning before I left coming out here at 8:30, there's already been like 5 tractor trailers. And most of them do back up and do turn around. But with that being said, there's damage to all the side streets. And with that being said, Terrell Street is the only street that you should be using for local traffic only. But I have seen firsthand, you've got RVs, you've got trailers hooked up to trucks. The tractor trailers, I've met tractor trailers on Terrell Street. It's a mess. That's all I can say, is a mess. And hopefully, it's going to take about 6 months to replace that bridge, that they will actually find the state route and they can get them detoured in LaGrange prior to being committed on 109. But it is closed. With that being said, I've made several calls and hopefully we can get it turned around. And my suggestion to GDOT, they should notify all of these places that actually send these trucks out. I mean, there should be a hotline somewhere where you're actually, you can do like a one-call stop or whatever. And I know last week when I talked to Bren, I asked him about Walmart, and they had already reached out to Walmart distribution, and I have not seen any Walmart trucks, so it does work. Well, I know you saw one on County Farm Road or whatever and all. And I understand they're gonna put no through trucks on one end of Brenda Garrett, which is a dirt road. And I will say this, when I talked to Barry about Hill Haven, it's already breaking up. So we've got to stay on top of Hill Haven. And with that being said, it's going to be pretty much like Coleman Creek, was with heavy use of that kind of traffic. And yesterday when I checked Hill Haven, I got to the end of it on 109, and the barricade was in the ditch. So Public Works, I contacted them to get that back up. But signage is important, but then you got to wonder, is anybody paying attention? Road closed. And I said, maybe if we put up bridge out, no kidding. Anyway, that's enough. I'll get off the soapbox.
I think the best thing, Coleman Creek, the best thing was to find, you give them a citation, because some of them know what they're doing, they're just gonna try it anyway. But if you get enough of them cited out there for that the word will get read too.
One day it was toward the end of the week, and I will say this, there were 5 tractor trailers backed up, and the police he was literally ticketing every one of them. I told number 5, I said, you can get out of this if you back up and start now backing up, because you got to back all the way down to Stovall to be able to make that U-turn to turn around now. But I think he sat there, and I said, and you might want to call dispatch and let them know not to route through Greenville. But with that being said, I think he got a ticket. He got a blue light special.
Well, my phone's been blowing up for citizens in Greenville. Yeah. And I'm going, look, that's a state highway job, but I'll reach out. And again, the engineer of GDOT, he said, it don't matter. I said, you need more signs. Everybody's telling me what kind of signs to tell you to get out. And he goes, it don't matter how many signs we put up there, how big they are going to drive by. They won't take time to read them. So I guess they're used to dealing with them too. So Mr. Warza.
I'd like to thank everyone for what they do, the hard work that's going on in the county. There's a lot of evidence of all that going on all across the county, from the bush hogging to the road work to the documents prepared and all the activities that's going on. So I appreciate that. It's a good job. In reference to last week's meeting, when we were discussing pathways, and I stopped and said I'll investigate and see the meeting notes, I was not crazy. I was not lost. We did it in August of last year, and I seconded the motion, agreed to pursue the possibility of the pathways facility being an elections office and to go out and look for what it would cost to convert that. But in February, when it came back, February this year, it came back before the board, $500,000 cost. We did not move forward with that, move forward with the jail and the courthouse proposals that were there, and decided not to move forward with pathways at that time, to pursue other options that Patty wanted to be involved in other buildings, and to see what work could be done, and then get better quotes. So the confusion to try to understand how we were working on it without that being approved was valid. There's a lot of work that's been done. There's a solid plan over there. I don't know what the total cost is going to be, and will we be able to meet a timeline of this year? But it's something that needs to be addressed. We said we would have another meeting to address those needs with election board, and I think we need to do that. We haven't done that. So we need to understand what that is. And I understand that it is the administration's right to direct county employees to work on whatever tasks or objects they want to. That's your job. The confusion or frustration there was how much money and time are we spending on a project that we don't know that we have funding for or can get full approval to do in the crunch timeline. So I just wanted to put that out there. I wasn't off my rocker a couple weeks ago. So that's all I have.
Coach Threadgill, any comments?
Of course. So Rosalind and I had the honor of meeting Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Burgess Owens, and Congressman Mike Collins on Monday night. Anytime you can get to meet those individuals like that, it is an honor for us. But to move on to the more important things, we have an individual that has done a really great job in taking over a step up in a role that I think is probably one of the most important roles in the county, not to take away from any other roles. But this individual, since they have taken over the new position, they have, in my opinion, excelled at that without having an actual assistant that she was to the individual that she stepped up to take that place. Allison, I want to say thank you very much for everything that you do. You have held it together. You are doing the work that you and Beverly both did, and you have not complained one time about it. And I know that we need to hire an assistant for you. I get messages or emails from you at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 at night, and that shows your dedication even working at home. So I wanted to personally thank you publicly so that it is on the record for stepping up and doing everything that you have done. And we do need to move forward with working. I know that Christy's helped, and but we do need to get you a deputy clerk so that you can have a little family time with your girls and your husband, because I know that's very important. So that's all I wanted to say, but I did want to acknowledge you, so thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. Just a routine thanks to everybody. There's several things I could mention and talk about, but meet's going on long enough. I thank everybody for what you've done, and we have reason to go into executive session today.
Yes, sir. Personnel and litigation.
Personnel and litigation. Do we have a report from the county attorney? Do you have anything to?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to report.
All right. So before we exit to go into executive session, future meeting, we're closed for Juneteenth holiday, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Our next meetings are Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, regular meeting at 6 o'clock p.m. That's what I was going to mention is I will not be at the next meeting, and I have tried so hard to keep a perfect attendance. And my wife has planned us a vacation. In her mind, she thought that was a 9 o'clock meeting, not a 6 o'clock meeting. So I'll be flying out about the time y'all are meeting. So Vice Chairman Worsley, you'll have the honors to step up and run the meeting that day, and I apologize for not being here. Also closed for Independence Day, July 4th, 2024, Thursday, July 4th. And then our next meeting is Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, regular meeting at 9 o'clock a.m. You'll have a motion to go into executive session.
For the purpose of litigation and personnel, so moved.
You got a motion, you'll have a second?
Second.
You got a second, all in favor? We are now in executive session at 11:06 a.m. Regular session.
So moved.
Got a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? We're back in regular session at 11:53. No action was taken in executive session. If there's nothing else to discuss, no one else.
We do have to vote on what we just did, right?
We didn't do anything.
No.
Okay.
We didn't do anything.
Okay. So anyhow, unless somebody else got something they want to mention here, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Got a motion? Got a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? We're out of here.